Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu is facing inevitable defeat, not just in Gaza, but also looks like, from his own military IDF. We have now this report suggesting there is going to be a mutiny taking place in IDF against the government and their decision to go and occupy the entire Gaza. What is happening right now is that Netanyahu has threatened the current Chief of Staff, Ayal Zamir, the one you're seeing right now on the screen, with dismissal if he refuses a proposed plan for a full military occupation of Gaza Strip, according to sources close to Netanyahu on Monday evening. Now, the nature of this infight is such that it is not kept hidden from the public. This escalation, these intense moments are being made public, not just in Israel, but also to the rest of the world. Shows that they are not even hiding their frustration. They are not even hiding their disunity. I'm talking about Netanyahu government and the army chief. The warning came in a public message directed at Zamir, means Ayal Zamir, the IDF chief. This warning came in a message where they basically are saying that the analysts, they're saying that this is an escalation in the internal dispute over how the war in Gaza is being handled. Just minutes before the message was released, the Israeli army announced a set of measures to reduce pressure on its regular troops. What the army is saying here is that we need rest. The battalion, they need rest. So Ayal Zamir, the IDF chief, he planned that 4 months of the platoon from each battalion will be rested, for 4 months. In other words, IDF, instead of going to occupy Gaza, they want to actually take rest. So you have to understand how desperate, how bad the situation is right now for IDF. You have an army who is now asking and demanding, to me looks like, because this is why Netanyahu, he threatened Ayal Zamir publicly, because Ayal Zamir is demanding from Netanyahu and also from Israel Katz, from Ben-Gvir, from Bezalel Smotrich, that we will not go to Gaza, rather we will be resting. You can do whatever you want. Main reason for that is because number one, there are a few reasons. Number one, they fought for almost now 2 years, relentless fighting. And number two, they do not have any goal in Gaza. They do not know what kind of strategy or what kind of mission they will be accomplishing in Gaza, making things very, very vague, to say the least, and very, very confusing. IDF doesn't know their role in Gaza anymore, because to them, they have destroyed entire Gaza. 75% of Gaza has been demolished. It means there is nothing there. Why would we go back and fight? Who are we going to fight? Ghost? There's nobody there. But of course, when they go back to Gaza, they see those resistance forces and they come under attack on a regular basis. This is exactly why IDF is now being terrified to go back to Gaza. As you can see, a lot of people from the government, Netanyahu government, they're tweeting about it. And just minutes before the message was released, the message means that they will occupy entire Gaza. Minutes before that message was released, the Israeli army announced a set of measures to reduce pressure on its irregular troops. This include ending the state of emergency that has been in place since October 7, 2023. When Palestinian resistance, they launched the Al-Aqsa Flood operation, the emergency status had extended mandatory reserve service by 4 additional months. The Israeli army Command said its battalions were quote-unquote exhausted after more than a year of continuous service, and that Zamir has decided to withdraw a full platoon from each regular battalion and return them to reserve duty. So again, for Zamir, there is nothing he can do in Gaza, no more objective, no more mission to accomplish. But for Netanyahu, the job has just begun and you have to go back and fight. One thing I think they have miscalculated, the Zionist regime, and that is that they thought by committing genocide, by dropping more bombs than what was dropped during World War II and even World War I combined, these place Gaza was completely destroyed. It was destroyed with the bomb like that was used in World War I and World War II. Like this is, if you combine all of the wars, you get Gaza. What happened? But after all of this, they are seeing that the resistance is still growing strong. In fact, Iran, according to one report, they have hinted that the number of Hamas troops right now in Gaza is 200,000. I think it was coming from Abbas Araghchi. But the point here is that the resistance, instead of dying, they are actually being revived. They're receiving more reinforcement. They are coming out with more effective operations against IDF and things like that. When they went into Gaza to annihilate the entire strip, they thought it could be done with fighter jets. But now, all of a sudden, they're realizing, the Netanyahu government, that, hey, look, the forces, the resistant forces, they're still there. What is going on? Therefore, we have to have ground troops. It is time for us to use ground troops. But can you imagine that decision came almost after 2 years of fighting? Why, my question is, why Netanyahu government did not make that decision earlier, that we need to occupy entire Gaza, we will send all our troops to Gaza? They could have done it, 6 months after October 7 and get it done with. Why it is taking so long for them to send troops? Now they do not want to go back to Gaza because they are exhausted. Well, it is because they miscalculated. The Zionist regime, they had no plan but to destroy Gaza, to get rid of the people, 2 million people from there. But because of that miscalculation, their own army is turning against them. Not only that, Hamas will inflict pain, according to this report. IDF fears huge casualties if it follows Netanyahu's invade Gaza, quote-unquote, order. Okay? They are saying, the IDF forces, that if we go to this place, it's a death trap for us, means Gaza is a death trap for us. Therefore, it is like committing, suicide if we follow the order of Netanyahu. In other words, right now it is a matter of life and death for IDF forces if they obey order from Netanyahu. Now, military officials warn that a full Israeli occupation of Gaza could lead to heavy IDF casualties, with quote-unquote dozens of soldiers at risk of being killed and many more wounded. According to Khan public broadcaster reports, the operation also threatens the safety of hostages held by Hamas, as IDF forces have so far avoided areas where hostages are believed to be held. There is growing tension between Israel's political leadership and military command, with Netanyahu pushing for full occupation, while IDF chief Eyal Zamir advocates for a slower encirclement strategy around Gaza City. Netanyahu reportedly rejected Zamir's caution and ordered preparations for occupation. Now, with the Zamir objection to this, what reminds us is the previous IDF chief. Remember Halabi, I think his name, I could be wrong, Israeli army chief Halabi, he resigned. Remember all of the ex-army personnel from IDF, they have also warned the same thing, that we are going to lose in Gaza. There is no strategy and we are taking too many casualties. Okay, this is not an assessment from one person, the guy you are seeing on the screen, Ayal Zamir. It is an assessment from all IDF current and past soldiers that going to Gaza will not bring us any success whatsoever. Rather, we are going to go there to die. That is the only strategy we have left, and that is facing death. And IDF, they're scared of resistance forces, and they are not even hiding it anymore. They are open about this, that the situation is getting totally, or has gotten totally, out of control. Now, Hamas, they have recently also ambushed, or they have actually derailed Netanyahu's invade Gaza order. What happened is that Hamas militant wings of Islamic Jihad and Hamas itself launched multiple attacks on Israeli forces in Gaza. So this is the latest report from Gaza. So you can see that the resistance forces, they are relentless in resisting the IDF forces, while the IDF forces, they are tired and exhausted. So you have two group of army, one army, if you want to call Hamas army or forces, that are highly motivated and that are ready to go for a war of attrition. On the other hand, you have IDF forces who are saying enough is enough, we are so tired, we need rest, 4 months of rest, we will be withdrawing platoon from each battalion and we are going to go home and enjoy our family. A lot of IDF soldiers are vacationing in Europe, as you have seen from many social media posts. How can this army, this coward army, IDF, defeat Hamas when they talk about we are going to be defeating Hamas? I mean, you cannot defeat them with all of your weaponries that you're receiving from United States military and also the government there, and millions and billions of dollars in aid. After 2 years, you are saying we need rest, and the other party is saying no, we are just getting started. Unbelievable comparison, and it shows the Zionist forces, they're really coward. Al-Qassam brigades claim they targeted an IDF command and control site in Morjaz axis with heavy mortar fire. Meanwhile, Saraya al-Quds, in coordination with Ansar brigades, released a video showing strikes on Israeli troops and armored vehicle. So these strikes are also continuous on the IDF forces. They are losing their tanks, their personnel, their brigades, and these are all being recorded by the resistance forces. So the strikes on Israeli troops and armored units in Sajaya, they claimed destruction of a military vehicle and casualties among Israeli soldiers. And IDF, quite interestingly, they do not even dismiss this kind of claim from the resistance forces by saying, oh, these are all false news, fake news, there is no casualties happening, our troops are doing well. When we talk about this whole situation, definitely what comes to our mind is the guy who is really responsible, solely responsible for all of this. And a lot of people voted him to stop this war, but this is what he has to say now. Take a listen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would you support Israel reoccupying all of Gaza, as has been suggested by some Israeli officials?
Well, I don't know what the suggestion is. I know that we are there now trying to get people fed. As you know, $60 million was given by the United States fairly recently to supply food, and a lot of food, frankly, for the people of Gaza that are obviously not doing too well with the food. And I know Israel is going to help us with that in terms of distribution and also money. So that's what I'm focused on. As far as the rest of it, I really can't say. That's going to be pretty much up to Israel.
So how many lies he sped out? How many? A lot. In just 40 or 30 seconds, he made so many false claims. He lied so many times. I don't know where to start. 60 million aid, food aid going into Gaza. No. that 60 million did not go to Gaza. Only a fraction of it went. And when people go there in Gaza to receive those aid, I'm not sure if those aids are from those 3 million aid from US, but when they go for the aid, they get killed. This is what is happening. And then he says now it is up to Israel how they want to deal with the situation in Gaza. Really? Man, really? And you want a Nobel Peace Prize? Really? You liar? He said before he got elected, I'm going to stop war in Gaza between Israel and this genocide. He said he will stop this. But now it's up to Israel. They will do whatever it takes for them. And this guy, he's being paid and bought by Zionist lobby. We know that. One of them is Miriam Edelson, and he has many other Zionist donors. But this guy is becoming so pathetic, and he's Jeffrey Epstein. But he should actually reveal that. He should tell us the Epstein list. Well, he's not going to do that because he got blackmailed by the Zionist lobby. His hands are tied. Pathetic moron. But Houthis, they are coming up with more strikes on Ben Gurion Airport. This time they have struck again with hypersonic missile, and they have said, quote unquote, successfully hit Israel. And this is not just the first time, guys, or the last time. This is going to continue on for a very long time. And it says that in a dramatic escalation, Yemen's Houthi rebels claimed responsibility for launching a Palestine 2 hypersonic ballistic missile at Israel's Ben Gurion Airport on August 5th. In a televised address, Houthi spokesperson Brigadier General Yahya Sari confirmed the operation, vowing that attacks would continue until the war in Gaza ends. The missile attack triggered sirens across central Israel and Jerusalem, sending thousands into bomb shelters. The Israeli military later stated that air defense systems intercepted the incoming projectiles, and they always do that. They always intercept the projectiles. Nothing happens to them. Now, Yemen's Houthis, they have claimed something very, very serious, and they said that U.S. forces, they were forced to retreat from Red Sea. A major Israeli newspaper has claimed that U.S. President Donald Trump ordered a sudden halt to attacks on Yemen after USS Harry S. Truman was nearly hit by a Yemen hypersonic missile. I have reported on this, and I said it was not that the Harry S. Truman was nearly hit. Rather, it was that it was indeed hit by Yemen's hypersonic missile. And at that point, Donald Trump decided to stop this war because, can you imagine if Harry S. Truman gets completely destroyed, how much it will cost United States? Millions, if not billions. So according to Calcalist, the incident in May triggered panic within the White House, leading to a quiet retreat to avoid a public military embarrassment. An F-18 crashed into the Red Sea during the carrier's evasive maneuvers, and U.S. naval officials warned Trump that any damage to a carrier would be a global disaster for American prestige. The report described Yemen's missile and drone tactics as an unprecedented threat, calling the confrontation the U.S. Navy's biggest challenge since World War II. The paper framed Yemen's action as a double victory, breaking U.S. dominance and enforcing a blockade on Israel despite heavy airstrikes by the U.S., UK, and Israel. What I understand from this is that it is not just the money that the United States spent. I think they spent billions in just 1 month of campaign against the Houthis. They spent, I think, at least $1 billion. At least. I could be wrong. It is also now prestige. It is not just the money, it's also the prestige, because when Russia and China will look at United States failure, guess what? They're going to be laughing at them. So Donald Trump withdraw, retreat, run. IDF is saying run. Donald Trump is saying retreat. I'll give you guys more updates. See you in the next video.